Hey, how's everybody doing today? As you can see, I got Christmas lights up, and look at all the paint back there. I tried making it a little clay version of Glarbo. See? He's not done yet, and the green paint, is not that great. So when I made a Ben 10 playlist video, I mentioned that I would be making a second playlist, only this time every alien is a custom creation made by me. Ben 10 threw my creativity into overdrive as a kid. I came up with tons of aliens. I kept a notebook just for alien ideas, and then one day I lost it in chapel and never found it again. But there were some aliens that stuck with me over the years. And when I was in high school and college, I saw some cool fan artists doing commissions in the art style of the original series. I thought it would be so cool to have my own custom alien drawn in the style of Ben 10. But I also told myself I would have to wait until I had enough money to save up for something like that. Fast forward, I'm in my mid-20s, I can't afford rent, let's pay for a whole playlist. So that's exactly what I commissioned Elmike9 with. 10 custom alien ideas I came up with over the course of middle school, high school, and college. We chatted over the course of several weeks. I sent him my own designs and he came back with some awesome results. The first alien is an alien I made in high school. His name is Spot, and he's based off the Spider-Man villain, The Spot. I saw him in the animated series cartoon, and then I did some research on him because he seemed like such a unique villain. I found out he was rarely featured in anything because a lot of people didn't take him seriously. So I thought it would be a fun little Easter egg to try and base an alien off some obscure comic book character that not that many people knew about. It's not like they'd ever make a movie about him, right? Anyway, his power is to throw these splotchy looking portals all over the place, and they open into his own pocket dimension. This allows for essentially teleportation, as well as capturing or moving around enemies. He can't go across the world or anything like that. He can only create portals in spaces within his eyesight. When Elmike sent his version in, I kinda stared at it for several minutes. It felt like a childhood dream was fulfilled. Seeing this alien I had doodled in class a million times in the style of my favorite cartoon, I can't put it into words that I have this now. I love that I have this. And as you can tell, I'll probably put some pointers on the screen. There's inspiration in the design from a lot of other aliens, but I love it. This alien is my personal favorite out of the 10. I'm so glad that Elmike was able to sort of bring him to life. The second alien is called Fuze. He's essentially this little green man with the ability to create this kind of fusion energy using the orbs and tubes connected through his body. With that power, he can fuse together any two objects. Although if he wants it to be a great combination or like a safe or precise combination, he needs to focus very hard during the fusion. It's a very odd and specific power set, but I figured he'd be good to contrast with another alien later on in the playlist. This is an awesome rendition, and honestly, that's how I feel about all of these. But one thing I'll say is my version had this kind of droopy Squidward looking nose, whereas Elmike's had this long, multi-jointed, pointy nose, and I love that. I think it's honestly really funny to imagine an alien that's kind of like really short, just has a really long, pointy, like Wicked Witch of the West or East, the green one, the wicked one. I just think it's funny and I love it. The third alien is called Rammerhead. I originally imagined a small and skinny version of this alien. He still had hair covering his eyes and no arms, but I felt like this playlist was missing a strong alien. I was never into the strong macho man kind of energy. Super strong aliens didn't appeal to me that much, and I rarely thought of super strong aliens of my own. But I feel a Ben 10 playlist is incomplete without one, so I made Rammerhead large and imposing. His ability is to charge up with his legs and ram into things with the force of the energy he charges up. He's essentially charging Chuck. This is a design I felt matched the original series energy so much. It's got this animalistic and unearthly design, and Elmike really breathed life into it. I love the details he gives the horns and the teeth. If this dude was not in the Omnitrix, I could totally see Ben 10,000 going up against him in the streets. And honestly, I show this guy to my friends. I think he is a favorite amongst my friends. Spark is the fourth alien. He's basically a spoof of Pikachu, and he's a little bit of a joke, making fun of the fact that Ben has a ton of electrical aliens. He's got Pikachu's basic abilities, which I really only know from Super Smash Bros. Because I didn't grow up with Pokemon. He can also only say his name, which kind of sounds like he's barking. I couldn't decide whether or not to give him 4 sparky looking ears or 2 droopy dog ears. So I went the extra mile, and now he's got 6 ears. He's the only alien where I've ever thought about the ears. He's definitely the only alien I've ever made who has 6 ears. It has no bearing on his abilities or anything. Again, I love the added details Elmike brought to the table. With the eyes, I feel like he absolutely looks like he would be related to the Ampiri. I never drew him with an open mouth before, so I love this chasm Elmike design with the continued like rings going on in the inside of his mouth. It reminds me of Goddard from Jimmy Neutron, who also goes... The 5th alien is Breakdown. He's the contrast I was talking about when it came to Fuze. I wanted him to be a kind of creepy and imposing alien, because I'd love for Ben to face off against a villain from Breakdown's species. But basically, Breakdown is to Fuze like Jar Jar Binks is to Yoda. That's right. I believe Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be a Sith, and I'm sad about it not happening. Fuze and Breakdown are opposite in every single way, physically, and I figure they should be from the same planet, just because I think it would be cool for them, like total opposites, to be from the same world. Breakdown can disintegrate anything he touches, much like Shigaraki.
I'm talking multiverse-shattering levels of brains here. And I kid you not, overall, he turns himself into a pickle.
And if being super tall isn't enough, all the pointy parts on his body can form into these hard black extensions for further reach, like you see on his hand. I love that Elmike took the wrinkles and cracks I did and sort of turned them into these, like, you can just see his bones through his really tight flesh because he's got like no meat on his bones, my dad likes to say. It definitely ups the creep factor for this already creepy looking alien. Number 6 is Spaceholder. He's a big buggy guy with a mouth on his forehead, because why not? He can only fly in short distances, but when he closes his claws, either one or both together, he can form an energy field that changes dimensions. Basically meaning he can give 3 dimensions to flat objects and flatten 3D things. Think of the Boneless from Doctor Who. It's another alien with a very specific power set, but this sort of ability has always fascinated me personally. I also had trouble figuring out how to give Spaceholder some more detail, but Elmike delivered as usual by adding these gill-like lines all over his body, and I think the hunchback is also a nice touch. The 7th alien is called Prism Cell. This is my 2nd personal favorite on the playlist. Prism Cell is this transparent dude that can absorb light and shape it into hard light, made out of the same durable glass-like material as his body. Think of Miss Marvel's abilities in the MCU, or, as my friend pointed out, think of Diamond Head without steroids. So Elmike actually asked me straight away if he could take some artistic liberty with Prism Cell and make him less blocky. I agreed, as long as he could keep the blocky look on the head, which he definitely kept. And I honestly dig that Elmike's version is scrawny. He reminds me of Chromastone. Overall, that lanky look just makes him look so much more alien to me. It's fascinating. And I love that my 2nd favorite one on the playlist got such a dope interpretation. Number 8 is Mindbleeder. He's basically a telepath and a telekinetic. He can't control your thoughts, but he can read them. He has a weight limit on what he can move with his mind. I didn't want to make him too OP, so I put a lot of limits on him. I made this design when I was in college, and he was another alien I doodled a ton in class. I thought it looked great, but the reason he hasn't been shown in full is because he doesn't look great. His body sort of ends at the waist, and there's a bulging yellow orb that comes out of him. It's supposed to resemble a spacecraft, but it looks like a legless alien with strange bulging genitalia. And the fun part is, it didn't hit me until I sent it to Elmike, and he was like, "What's that? Can I change that?" Then I sent it to my buddy, who said something along the lines of,
"You know how people say when you see something so great, you want to close your eyes forever because nothing else will ever be as great? Yeah, this is the opposite. I can now keep my eyes open forever because I'll never be as disgusted as I am now again." Mindbleeder clearly had a glow up here. The yellow orb is detached from him, which is way better.
I figure he can mentally make it spin and move around like a projectile against enemies. Plus, he's got a sick shirt that reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. And there's the added bracelets as well. He just looks way sicker than what I thought was an already sick design. Plus, I'm a sucker for aliens with giant hands. Top tier interpretation. 9 was originally called Shriekhawk, but I changed his name to Screecher because I decided he should have a deep and that doesn't really scream shriek. He has the ability of flight, shooting his feathers like projectiles, similar to My Hero Academia's Hawks. And he can emit sonic blasts from his exoskull. My buddy asked where his brain would be, and I guess it's in his chest. He then asked where his reproductive organs would be. As usual, another great alien. This style makes him look so monstrous, which I feel is so in line with Ben 10, and it legit sticks out to me like a classic horror movie poster. Our 10th and final alien is called Rocket. Inspired by the Mark 42 from Iron Man 3, Rocket is a biomechanical organism that can detach parts of his body and have them fly around on their own. He can also detonate those pieces of his body, but he can't regenerate them. So if Ben were to detonate any, he would need to transform back to regain those body parts. This turned out a little bit different than what I expected, but it still looks fantastic. It's very in line with a robotic alien we might see in Ben 10 Classic, and this also gives me the vibes of Astro Boy. I'm not familiar with the plot of Astro Boy, but I have seen images and it just gives me that vibe. So that's it, my custom Ben 10 playlist. Absolute special thanks to Elmike9 for taking on these commissions and helping make one of my childhood dreams come true. I'm especially grateful because he supplied me with transparent PNGs, which have been super helpful in the making of this video and in the making of my own collage, in which I show them alongside Ben 10,000. Make sure to follow Elmike9 on Instagram if you're not already. I'm pretty sure he's also on Twitter and DeviantArt. He does all sorts of Ben 10, Transformers, and X-Men fan art. With my lifelong filmmaking desires, I've imagined but never penned several full-on television series. But the only one based off of a franchise has been my own idea for a Ben 10,000 show. Let me know if you're interested in hearing more about that, or another long-form video idea I've got. It's about trying to get AI to design my original characters and seeing just how garbage they'll come out. Make sure to subscribe and you'll see more content from me, mostly short comedy skits, a sprinkle of Jesus videos every now and again, and maybe a sprinkle of short films. All sorts of things can happen here at Favilla Films, otherwise known as one guy with a camera in a one-bedroom apartment. Good day to you, sir, or ma'am. We're inclusive.